Hi and welcome to eTraining's spreadsheet training session. My name's Jo and today I'm going to be showing you how you can use your data within Excel spreadsheets to create charts and graphs. Just to let you know, I'm using 2013 Microsoft Excel. It's one of the newest versions of Excel. You may be working on something similar or slightly older, but what you will notice is that the toolbar at the top is pretty similar to the one that you're using. If there are any variations that I'm aware of, I'll let you know as I go along. And if you do find whilst you are completing the tutorials or you're doing your own spreadsheets that you encounter some difficulties because of those changes or working on different versions, you can always contact me and I'll talk you through those. For those of you who've completed some of our similar tutorials, you may already be aware of the Airway Outdoor spreadsheet. This is the completed spreadsheet and it shows all of our snowboard sale items. The make, the model, the price band, the current price, the discount that they have, and naturally the sale price because they have a discount. What I'd like to be able to do is present this information to my manager, and I want to show it quite visually. I want to show him each of the models and how much their sale price is. I'd also like to be able to use it to send to my customers, and charts and graphs are a real visual way of showing data. The first thing that you have to be aware of is that you have to tell Excel the data that you want to put into the chart or graph. So you begin by highlighting the data that you want to put into your chart or graph. I said the model and the sale price, so I start with the model. Using my mouse key, I left click, hold on the model and drag all the way down to the bottom. I release when I get to the timeless, and a special trick is to press and hold the control key at the bottom left hand side of your keyboard. It's CTRL and that's short for control. Press and hold that control key down and keep holding it whilst you go back up to sale price, left click on the word sale price and highlight the sale price column. You can release that, and at the same time you can release your control key. And what you'll notice has happened using that control key is that you've been able to highlight both of those columns. Once you've highlighted the information that you want to put into your table, chart or graph, select Insert at the top of your toolbar, and you'll see across here on this section there are lots of chart options. I'd like a column chart, but you can hover using your icon, mouse icon, over each chart or graph to get an explanation. It will tell you what type of chart or graph it is and what it's most commonly used for. I definitely want a column chart for this chart, quite visual but quite simple. So I'm going to left click with my mouse the column chart option, and what you'll see happens is I get some more options. As I hover over the 2D column option, the chart will appear on my screen. It's not for definite yet though because I haven't selected it. I might choose the 3D column option like this. As I hover over each option, it will show me on my screen what I'm going to get. I think I'd like the 3D column option. I'm going to select that one, and you'll see that my chart is now sitting over my data. What I'd like to be able to do is select the best type of chart. What I have at the top left hand side is something called a quick layout. If I left click that with my mouse, I get another set of options that come up. And again, as I hover over each one, the chart will change, and it allows me to select the best type of chart for my needs. I like this chart here that I've got. It's got the ability to have titles. That's really important in a chart or a graph, to be able to give the information titles. And it shows my data quite clearly. So I'm going to left click with my mouse and you'll see that my data is now as I need it. Within Microsoft 2013 Excel, we have this change colours option. Similar or older versions will show in the top toolbar here colours as opposed to the options that I have. So make sure that you do change your chart to reflect the information that you're displaying, perhaps a colour that might reflect a brand or a company that you work for. I'm going to change my colours, and I think I'd like a nice shade of blue. I'm not entirely happy with this because if you notice it says axis title on both of these, and I'd like to change those to represent what the data presents. I'm going to make my chart bigger, and I do that by getting this arrow here. I can reposition, and the other arrow that I get allows me to change the chart area. I left click with my mouse key, hold and drag out the area, and it makes my chart much bigger. What I then want to do is change the title, and you'll notice I can click on that. As I hover over the axis title, I get this square set of arrows. Left click, and it allows me to click in and change the title. I just delete the words axis and title, and then I'm going to put model, because that's the model of my snowboard. And I'm going to change the title down here to sale price, because this represents the sale price that each of my snowboards are. At the top here it says sale price, but I'd like my title to say something more. When you're presenting information, it should say everything. So I'm going to say mine is Airway Outdoors Snowboard Sale Price. You do have this little option over here on the right hand side for the sale price. That's happy, I'm happy with that. And do check down the bottom that each of your names has come up. What you'll notice is if I make my chart very small, it will try to accommodate most of those, but when we go to so small, it can only accommodate a few of those names. So I'm going to drag it out and make it bigger again. Now what I don't want to have is my chart or graph on the same sheet as my data. Earlier on in some of our tutorials I showed you how you can create a second sheet or a third sheet. I'm going to click on my sheet with my left mouse key, then I'm going to right click on my sheet, and I have the cut or the copy option. Depending on how much you trust your computer or your work will depend on whether you choose to copy and paste your chart or cut it and paste it. I'm fairly confident, so I'm going to cut my chart, and you'll see it disappears from my data here. I'm going to select the little plus sign at the bottom of my page, and it opens a new worksheet. Left click with my mouse, right click with my mouse key, select the paste option, and my table will now sit in my new worksheet. I want to rename the sheet that it's sitting in. I don't want it to just say sheet 1, because down the bottom I have current prices and a reduction table. I can right click on the word sheet 1, left click rename, delete the word sheet 1, and I'm going to call this sale price chart. Now when I send this data to anybody, they will know that contained within that sheet is the sale price chart. If I come back to current prices, I can just click off, and the model and the sale price are no longer highlighted. If I come back in here to my sale price chart, everything's as it should be. Something that you should remember is that you can change the page layout, so that if you were printing this off, the chart would print off on one page. Select page layout, which is at the top of your toolbar. Select orientation, and you can choose portrait or landscape. I'm going to choose landscape because my chart is quite long but short in height. And what you'll see is this line dotted line appears. They're called page breaks. So I'm fairly happy that when I print off my chart, it's all going to be on one page. You may want to save your chart now, and you can save by just selecting the save icon. That concludes our charts and graphs. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me or one of my colleagues at eTraining. Thank you.